There's a guy with a weed whacker out there. Come on, man. Hey, what's up? I love a gyro sandwich, but like you, I don't own a spit to make one. So I've invented a process here to make a gyro at home that hits just like the restaurant version, but it's lighter, it's fresher, and it only takes about 30 minutes to make. This is Weeknight. To get started, I'll grab my food processor, and into that I'll measure 100 grams of rough chopped onion. That's about half of a medium-sized onion, and I chopped it up before I'm gonna chop it up with the food processor so that it breaks down quicker and more evenly. Then in goes 3 to 4 cloves of garlic. The lid goes on, and I'll spin both of those up together until they're relatively well minced. And that looks pretty good. Next, I'll add in 1 pound or 450 grams of 90-10 ground beef. Feel free to use fattier beef if you want things to be slightly juicier. Just be prepared to manage some flare-ups on the grill. Behind the beef, I'll add in 1 pound or 450 grams of ground lamb, and the fat balance on this lamb is roughly 85-15. And I'll mention that you can use all lamb instead of half beef if you prefer, but I think the beef helps mellow out some of the gamey lamb flavor, and beef is like half the price of lamb where I live, so it's more frugal this way. On top of the meat, I'll add in 50 grams of panko breadcrumbs, 2 grams of dried oregano, 5 grams of coriander, 3 grams of black pepper, 1 to 2 grams of chili flake, 7 grams of ground cumin, and 10 grams of salt. Now the lid goes on, and I'll spin this up to combine. The idea here is to approximate the giant cone of gyro meat that you see in most Americanized Greek restaurants. That stuff is very finely minced and bordering on pureed, so I'm gonna try and do the same. Think of it like a Greek meatball on a stick, or like a Middle Eastern kofta that is flavored like a gyro. Once the spices are well incorporated and the meat is well broken down, I'll stop to take a look. As you can see, this is pretty well homogenized at this point, and texturally, it's quite sticky. That stickiness is gonna allow us to shape this into something that's easy to grill and easier to slice. Next, I'm gonna grab my scale and quickly divide this into 6 175-gram balls of meat. Now to shape these into grillable patties, I'm gonna grab a ball and work it a little bit in my hands to make sure the exterior is just a little bit stickier on the outside, and then I'll press it and pull it into an oblong shape that's about 6 to 7 inches tall by 3 inches wide, give or take. And once it's looking kind of like an ice cream sandwich like this, I'll grab a wooden skewer and stick it right through the middle of the patty, but off to the side like this. By the way, these skewers have been soaking in water overnight because that really helps them from burning into ashes when we throw these on the grill. Now I'll take a second skewer and stick it right through the middle, but on the other side of the meat patty, top to bottom. Then I'll give it just a little bit more zhuzhing to adjust and tidy things up. And there we go, gyro meat on a stick. I'll move this over to a sheet tray, and I'll mention that the sticks here really help keep the meat in place and allow me to move these around on the grill a lot more easily if I need to. Speaking of the grill, I'll scoot these meats off to the side and head outside to the grill. By the way, don't turn your burners on high blast and then spend 3 minutes adjusting your camera before you hit ignite. As far as heat goes here, I've got all 3 of these burners turned up to high because I'm going to be looking for a hard, fast sear on this meat. I'll give the grill 15 minutes or so to preheat, and in the meantime, I'm going to make the toppings for this sandwich, starting with a quick, easy Israeli-style cucumber tomato salad. That's definitely not the most traditional move for a gyro, I know, but it combines the cucumber and tomato vibe of the trad gyro with something more vibrant and flavorful. Think of it like a Greek-style pico de gallo. First up, I'll need to medium dice some cucumbers. This is just a regular old slicing cucumber that I've peeled some, but not all of the skin off of, and then I cut it into long strips. Turn those 90 degrees, and then I'll dice those into this medium small dice. By the way, I removed most of the squishy seed stuff because that's gonna sog up the salad. One medium cucumber should yield about 150 grams, and once it's diced, I'll scoot it into a medium bowl and then grab a medium-sized tomato. This is an heirloom variety that I got at the farmer's market, but a regular old slicing tomato from the grocery store would work totally fine. Just try to avoid something that's mealy and white on the inside. I'll slice the tomato and then cut those slices into strips, turn 90 degrees, and then I'll dice those strips into the same size medium dice as I did for the cucumber. This medium-sized tomato should yield about 150 grams as well, and into the bowl it goes. Next, I'll grab a half of a red onion and cut that longitudinally, then latitudinally, and then I'll give it an even dice the same size as the cukes and the tomatoes. Into the bowl it goes, and then I'll grab a strong grip of parsley without the stems. I'll give that a rustico chop. In total, I need about 15 grams of parsley. Into the bowl it goes. On top of that, I'll squeeze in half of a lemon. That's about 15 grams worth of juice. Then a good long squeezer of olive oil, let's say 15 to 20 grams. Then a healthy grip of salt, and don't be shy on that. I'll jump into the bowl with a spoon now and stir everything to combine. As this salad sits, that salt's going to draw out some moisture and the veggies are going to marinate in all of those juices and the whole thing's going to get more flavorsome. Up next, I'll make some lemon herb yogurt sauce to lube things up. But before I do, I'm going to quickly thank Imi Ramen for sponsoring this video. Imi is the world's first low-carb, high-protein, and 100% plant-based instant ramen. It's basically a much more sophisticated version of the sodium preservative-laced ramen that I ate while buzzed in college. In contrast to that, Imi has 21 grams of protein, 18 grams of fiber, and only 6 grams of net carbs per serving. It's also 35% lower in sodium than the traditional blocks of ramen, plus it tastes very good, and it's just as easy to make as that stuff. They use high-quality ingredients for these noodles, too. The soup base has no unnatural preservatives, and like I said, it's 100% plant-based, and that means it's dairy-free. You can make it on the stovetop or in the microwave, and either way, it's ready in only about 7 minutes. Personally, I throw a little hard-boiled egg in mine with some scallions, maybe a little bit of nori, and some chili oil, and okay, now you've got my attention. The variety pack that I got came with spicy beef, tom yum shrimp, and black garlic chicken. Again, all of these are plant-based. So if you want to eat ramen again without all of the guilt, click the link in my description and use code Brian at checkout or go to immyeats.com/Brian for $5 off your order. That's immyeats.com/Brian for $5 off your variety pack. The link is in my description. Thank you, Immi. Now, to make an herby yogurty sauce to lube up this meat into a high-sided container, I'm going to measure 200 grams of plain full-fat yogurt, 75 grams of mayonnaise. The added fat from that mayo is really going to help cut some of the bracing acidity here and bring some balance. Then 15 to 20 grams of lemon juice, or about a half a lemon's worth, 1 minced garlic clove, and 2 grams of salt. Now, my immersion blender goes in, and I'll spin all of this up to combine. You could skip the blender here if you wanted, but your sauce is going to be a touch thicker than I'd like it to be. The blender really helps break up the thickness of that yogurt and overall gives the sauce a nice thin texture that I think is ideal. Once that's spun up, I'm going to add in 2 to 3 grams of chopped fresh dill. I'll stir that in, and there we go. A sour, tart, round, herby dressing to bring some life to a fresh grilled meat sandwich. The pro move from here is to move this into a little squeezer so that you can have a high level of accuracy and control over where your sauce hits this gyro. Once I've got my sauce in cucumber salad made, now it's time to grill these meats. I've let this grill preheat for about 15 minutes, and at this point it's rolling hot at about 450 to 500 F. Before I drop any food on this though, I need to give these grates a generous dose of high smoke point oil. The heat here is going to make that oil bond to the cast iron grates, and that's going to form a temporary polymer that keeps food from sticking. One last move here is to hit the meat itself with a small dose of pan spray. This added layer of fat is going to help transfer heat to the meat and provide a superior sear. Okay, once the grill is oiled and very, very hot, I'm going to lay on my skewers of meat. I'll make sure to give each piece a really good press into the grates to ensure even contact and heat transfer. And once everyone's in the pool, I'm going to let these sit and sear undisturbed for 4 to 5 minutes. 4 to 5 minutes later, when I check back, you can see that these have taken on some really nice dark color. So from here, I'll flip them over and cook them on the far side. By the way, this is my attempt at recreating the high, dry heat of a spit. The best gyros are always shaved off of a spit, and this is about as close as you can get at home flavor-wise. If you didn't want to use a grill or if you didn't have one, you certainly could do this under the broiler, but it would take some adjusting to time and temperature to make sure you don't dry out the meat. Now, once everything's flipped over, I'm going to lower this lid and grill on side 2 for 3 to 4 more minutes. After 8 to 10 minutes of grilling in total, I'll come back and take a look. All 6 of my meat clods are perfectly grilled and they smell frickin' dope. Internal temp wise, I'm shooting for 150 F. I personally wouldn't go much higher than 155 because you could start to dry out the meat. These are in the zone, so I'm going to lift them off the grill and bring them inside to turn them into a gyro sandwich. Back in the house, once the meat has rested for about 5 minutes or so, I'm going to carefully remove these charred skewers. If we didn't soak these, there would be a very good chance that they would crumble into ashes and you would have wood stuck in your meat. Next, I'll grab my chef's knife and slice this gyro flavored meatball into a thickness that approximates what you would get at a gyro place. Visually, this doesn't look like much, I'll admit that, but neither does gyro meat. Texturally, though, this is great. It's moist, it's meaty, it's tender, and it tastes mildly of spiced lamb, like it should. The last step here is to cut those slices in half so that we can get something that more easily fits onto the sandwich. Or, let's be more accurate, the taco. Yes, I prefer to use flour tortillas to make weeknight gyros. These ones in particular are called extra fluffy, and they're pretty close to a pita, honestly. I don't particularly like any of the pita options available to me at my local grocery store, but I do love these sweet, floppy, warm, fluffy flour tortillas. I toast them hard on one side in a nonstick pan to get some additional color and flavor, and then I throw them into a tortilla warmer to soften them up and make them a little bit more flopsy. Now I'm going to fill that tortilla with 3 ounces of the chopped, sliced, grilled gyro meat. Then I'm going to hit the whole thing with a generous drizz of my yogurt lemon dill sauce, then a few pinches of salty, crumbly Greek-style feta cheese. The salty sheepiness here really lights this thing up. Behind the feta, I'll lay down a bunch of sliced pepperoncini doggies, at least 6 to 8 of those, and then I'll drop a large spoonful of the marinated Israeli salad. Make sure to drain off any excessive moistness or regret it when your taco is dripping down your arm. Lastly, I'll add in a pinch of shredded lettuce to bring some fresh crunch and really tie the room together. Yes, that's a gyro, or at least it's very, very close. It has all of the flavors and textures that you'd need in the same place, but you don't need to own a spit to make it happen. This gyro is just the right amount of lammy. It's creamy, it's salty, it's bright, it's fresh, and it's juicy. I really hope you try it soon. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let's eat this thing.